Alright, this is Wakeangel2K1, and today I will be reviewing perhaps the most prolific part of the Jazwares line, that is the 3-inch Sonic figure. Now there have been many variants and many re-releases of Sonic over the past few years, so I'm going to be presenting all of the variants that I own and, you know, in as close to chronological order as I can come to. And this is extremely, horrifically, terrifyingly blurry. Hold on just a moment. There we go. Alright, so the oldest of the Sonic figures that I own is probably the Black Knight figure. The original Sonic figure is I used him to make my first Scourge, and I never really got around to replacing him. And if I can just get him to hold his sword and stand. The ones that I don't have would be the transparent blue variant. I used that to make my Robbo the Hedge and my first Darkspine Sonic custom. I do have Werehog Sonic, but I consider him to be too different to actually include in this. So I'm leaving him out for now. And oh yes, I did mod. This figure did not originally come with a stand, but I gave him a foot that would be able to use the stand. And well, and let's just continue talking about figures. I also have the All-Stars Racer car. This one comes with a Sonic figure, distinguished by the fact that he has a pair of holding things hands. Yes, holding things hands, which can be used for gripping the steering wheel. Jazwares should be re-releasing Sonic later this month with a couple of rings, and I'm pretty sure that it'll basically be this holding hands version so that he can actually hold the rings. I also have the Free Riders Sonic. He comes with his little Extreme Gear board. This one comes with a pair of shades along with different molds for the gloves and the shoes. Also, differences in the legs, which I will get to very shortly. Then there is the Supersonic variant. As you can see, my Supersonic is the original one that had the black highlights painted around the eyes mistakenly. Although I think the Supersonic variant came out before the Free Riders variant, and I really should have prepared myself with some more stands. And last but most certainly not least, Classic Sonic and is Classic Supersonic variant. And if getting all these guys. Yeah, as you can see, something that all Sonic figures have in common is that they are top-heavy. This just goes by nature of the mold. That's why the new 5-inch figures have hollow heads, but I actually would prefer if Jazwares would keep them this way because it's a lot easier to customize a solid head. It's a little bit selfish of me, but don't change that, please, Jazwares. Okay, let's get an individual look at them in more or less chronological order. So, up first is the Sonic and the Black Knight variant, the 3-inch one this time. He comes with a immaculately sculpted holding thing gauntlet hand, which is really nicely detailed. Let me see if I can get a little bit of extra light on the subject. So yeah, it's a little hard to see, but that sword, although it is missing the brown ring, it's actually better sculpted than the 3-inch, than the 5-inch Sonic figure's sword, in that this one actually has every single rivet picked out. On the other one, even though it's painted correctly, there are no rivets. and it's really, really hard to tell, but the little diagonal, the little diamond 8 thingy is also up there on the top of the blade. So a really, really nice sculpt. It's one of my favorite action figure swords. And like I said, back in the day, they did not come with stands, and the foot didn't have a hole for one. But, you know, I swapped out a foot because, you know, I want my Sonic figure to stand. Okay, let's move on. Okay, after the Sonic and the Black Knight figure, the next one in our roster is the Sega All-Stars Racer vehicle. This is probably the largest Sonic accessory to date, and it seats Sonic pretty comfortably. His little hands grip the steering wheel, and you know, he convincingly looks like he's sitting in the car. So, and it's a nice little car too. I mean, the wheels aren't made of rubber, but they do have treads molded in there. Not sure if that's showing up on camera. He has a tiny little Sonic Team hood ornament. Looks a little bit distorted though. I don't know what's up with that. And you know, the paint job on it is pretty nice. It's a cool little car. I always liked Sonic's car from All Stars Racer because it kind of looks like a blue version of the Batmobile as a go-kart. Also, the Sonic figure that comes with this, if you were to ask me what my Sonic figure is, I would point to this one. He is my basic default Sonic, because he essentially is the basic default Sonic. He just has holding things hands. Like I said earlier, I do believe that later this month there's going to be a re-release of this character with the open hands so that he can hold on to the rings, which are the new accessories that he's coming with. And this is pretty much your basic standard Sonic figure. I'm not going to go over all the points of articulation because we actually have quite a bit to go through. Okay, the next Sonic variant that I have would be the Super Sonic. We all love Super Sonic. This is the first release of Super Sonic. As you can tell, he has Gyliner. This was because of a error in communication where some people thought that he was supposed to have hair like eyeliner because it was accidentally painted that way in one of the Sonic things. You know, later releases have that painted over in white. And I'm just rambling. So that's a Super Sonic figure. In terms of articulation, he is exactly the same as any other Sonic figure. And let us move on to the next one in the line. The Freerider Sonic. Freerider Sonic was probably the first big departure in terms of the molding, in that he has totally new shoe and hand sculpts, and the board is a removable accessory that rolls away. The sunglasses are also removable. They're held in with a peg and hole system. And this is the first Sonic to use a new hip and a new joint design for the hips and knees. Let's get a good zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, going back to my other Sonic, as you can see up here, there's a very noticeable bulge around where the joints form. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to see on the Super Sonic figure because it's a lighter color, but there's like a bulge, like a roundness about the joints. The Freerider Sonic was the first one to use a new hip design that didn't have those bulges on it. And right now all the Sonic figures are like this, and that's perfectly fine. It's all good. And of course, because of his Freerider boot design, he actually is the best stander of the group. And that is the story of modern Sonic. But we still have two more. The classics. Classic regular Sonic and classic Super Sonic. Now let me tell you, back in 1991 when I was 6, I would have loved this guy. This is a figure that I waited 20 years for. This is just wonderful. It's so unfortunate that they never actually made anything like this when I actually was a kid, because the first mainstream Sonic action figure, as you may recall, was the Resource figure from Sonic Adventure, which already used modern Sonic. Now, in terms of articulation, they're pretty identical, and they don't come with stands. That's weird. They're new figures, but they don't come with stands. They also don't have any elbow or knee articulation, just universal shoulders, universal hips, and swivels in the ankles and wrists. He also has a waist joint and neck swivel, of course. But the lack of a peg hole for stand means that the top heaviness can really get in the way, because it can actually be hard to stand these figures for an extended period of time, especially Super Sonic, since his spines are so huge and his head is much more solid. I'm pretty sure that this is one gigantic solid piece of plastic. Let's see. Oh yes, there is one thing that's an improvement. The joints, which you may recall from Free Rider's Tails or Wave or Storm, and I believe Free Rider's Knuckles too, they don't have visible bolts. It's just a smooth piece of plastic there, compared to the Free Rider's Sonic figure, which has a very obvious bolt hole, and you can see what I'm talking about. So, although not as good with articulation as most of the other Sonic figures, he does totally win out in sculpt. This is pretty much a perfect representation of what we remember good old classic Sonic. Although some nitpickers might notice that he has buckles, and he didn't have those buckles in the original game, but they were clearly drawn in the animated cutscenes of Sonic CD. So it is something that is part of the classic design, even if you're going back to 1993 instead of 1991. But you know what, I still think it's close enough. So that is all of the 3-inch Sonic figures, with the exception of a couple of variants. Like I said, the transparent one, which I have used as custom fodder, or the, just a couple of other random ones that are no real difference in sculpt. So this is Toy Customizer Wakeangel 2001, signing out.